The moment I saw the banner, I froze. Its words burned into me like fire. Congratulations, loser. The laughter that erupted from my own family didn't sound like joy. It sounded like betrayal. My mother's giggles, my father's booming chuckle, my sister's smirk, it all blended into one cruel chorus. I forced a sharp, unnatural laugh of my own, and the entire room fell silent as their eyes locked on me. That night, everything changed because I decided they would never laugh at me again. Before I reveal exactly what happened next, make sure to like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to the channel. Your support keeps stories like this alive. The party had looked so normal at first. Blue and gold streamers, balloons in every corner, tables full of food that actually felt prepared with effort. For once, it seemed like they cared, like my graduation mattered. Neighbors, relatives, even some of Dad's coworkers had come. Everyone smiled and clapped as I walked in. For a fleeting second, I let myself believe this was pride. But when they wheeled out the cake, I knew that illusion was about to shatter. My mom set it down gently, her eyes gleaming with mischief, while Dad nudged me forward with a grin. "Go on, check it out," he urged, his voice thick with amusement. I leaned over, expecting my name written in sweet frosting, something I could finally be proud of. Instead, the words screamed back at me, "Congratulations, loser." A few guests shifted uncomfortably, their forced smiles faltering, but no one said anything. My sister Brianna stood in the corner smirking, though there was a flicker of unease in her eyes. I raised my glass slowly, the room going deathly quiet. To my family, I said, my laugh still echoing unnaturally, "For always being exactly who I thought you were." The silence thickened, my parents exchanging glances, unsure of what would come next. But deep down, I already knew I was done being the punchline. From the outside, our family looked like any other in Huntington Beach. We had the sunny neighborhood, the backyard barbecues, the casual small talk with neighbors. But behind those smiles was a pattern I had lived with my whole life. My parents loved showing off Brianna's smallest wins as though they were monumental achievements. When she started a simple art class in high school, they threw a massive barbecue, bought her supplies, and praised her creativity as if she had painted the Mona Lisa. When she dropped out of community college after just one semester, no one scolded her. Instead, they encouraged her to try again, showering her with patience and excuses. For me, it was different. I had been the strong one, the dependable kid who never needed much attention, or so they told themselves. When I came home with a first-place ribbon from the science fair, my mom barely glanced at it. Dad chuckled and said, "Science fairs are cute, Amber, but they don't really matter." Meanwhile, Brianna's scribbled art was framed and hung on the fridge. I learned quickly that no matter how much effort I put in, I would never earn the same affection. By the time I was 10, I had stopped expecting it. It wasn't just the lack of recognition, it was the double standard. If Brianna forgot chores, she was creative and needed her space. If I forgot, I was irresponsible. When she got a C in class, the teacher was to blame. When I brought home straight A's, I received only a nod. The message was loud and clear. I was strong, and strong meant I didn't need support. One of the few people who noticed was my Aunt Jessica. She pulled my mom aside once during Thanksgiving, her voice sharp enough that I overheard. "You're favoring Brianna too much, Samantha. You're going to hurt Amber." My mom just laughed it off, insisting I was fine, that I didn't need the same attention. But I remember the way Aunt Jessica looked at me that night, her eyes filled with sympathy, almost an apology for something she couldn't fix. That look stayed with me longer than any words of comfort. By the time I reached college, the favoritism wasn't just emotional, it was financial. I had worked 2 jobs to pay my tuition at UC Irvine, scraping by with scholarships and loans. Meanwhile, my parents paid Brianna's tuition up front, even after she failed out of her first semester. They bought her a car, gave her money for clothes, even covered her rent. The final insult came when I discovered my savings account, $5,000 I had worked for, was gone. My mother didn't even flinch when I confronted her. "We needed it for Brianna's new car," she said, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. That was the moment I realized my sister wasn't just oblivious. She knew. She saw the imbalance. She even looked guilty when she drove off in that car, but she never once offered to return it. She simply accepted the favoritism because it benefited her. And my parents. They justified it all with one phrase that had become their excuse for everything. "You're strong, Amber. You'll be fine." But fine was the last thing I felt. And standing in that living room at my graduation party, staring at that cake, every memory of neglect and favoritism pressed down on me all at once. That night at the party, when the laughter died down and the silence stretched, I felt something inside me harden. It wasn't the kind of anger that burns hot and fizzles out. It was colder than that, sharper, like glass pressed against skin. I looked at the decorations, the cake, the banners, both the shiny one that said congrats, Amber, and the crueler one tucked in the corner that read congrats. Failure. So much effort had gone into mocking me. For years, I had swallowed my pain, told myself it didn't matter, that being the strong one meant carrying it all without complaint. But in that moment, staring at the smirks and the awkwardly shifting guests, I finally saw the truth. They weren't proud of me. They never had been. I raised my glass high, forcing a smile. "To the future," I said, my voice cutting through the tension, "because I've finally learned how to treat you the way you've always treated me." My words hung in the air like smoke, bitter and heavy. My father cleared his throat, his usual peacekeeper routine ready to smooth things over. "Amber, don't take it so seriously," he said, his laugh falling flat. My mother fidgeted beside him, her guilt flickering across her face, but never strong enough to form an apology. Brianna's smirk had faded now, replaced with a wary look, but she stayed silent. I drained the glass in one gulp, the clink of it hitting the table echoing louder than their laughter had moments before. Then I turned for the door, every eye in the room pinned on me. My father's voice followed, heavy with forced cheer. "Come on, kid, stay. It's your party." I paused at the threshold, looked back at their nervous faces, and smirked. "You'll figure it out soon enough," I said, not as I stepped outside. The night air hit me like a wave, cool and steady. The sound of the ocean drifted in from the Huntington Beach shore, mixing with the muffled noise of the party behind me. But I didn't look back. I slid into my car, the leather seat creaking beneath me, and pulled out my phone. My hands weren't shaking. My pulse was steady. For the first time in years, I felt in control. Driving away, I realized something crucial. This wasn't the end of the story. It was the beginning. I had been their safety net for too long, the reliable daughter, the dependable sister, the one who always picked up the pieces. But not anymore. That night wasn't just about a cake or a banner. It was about every overlooked achievement, every stolen dollar, every laugh at my expense. And I was done letting it slide. As the streetlights blurred past and the ocean breeze rushed through my window, I felt a calm settle over me. They thought they knew me, that I'd always come back, always forgive, always fix things. But they were about to learn what it felt like when the strong one finally stops carrying everyone else. The first week after the party, I didn't answer their calls. I didn't send the usual transfers I made every month to help with the bills, didn't Venmo the extra cash for dad's truck repairs or mom's medical copays. For years, I had slipped money into their accounts quietly, no thank you ever expected, because that was my role, the dependable one. But now, silence. I didn't explain, didn't warn them. I simply stopped. The first call came 2 days later. My phone buzzed while I was at my desk in the Irvine office, staring at spreadsheets. Mom's name lit up the screen. I let it ring out. A minute later, the voicemail came through. "Amber, honey, something's wrong with the bill payment. Did you forget? Please call me back, okay? You know you're strong, but we could really use the help." Her voice cracked just slightly, as if she was admitting she needed me but couldn't quite say it. I deleted the message without a reply. That evening, Dad tried with a text. "Hey kid, Mom said the bills are late. You okay? Let's talk." His words were careful, diplomatic, like always. He never confronted the real problem, never mentioned the cake, the banner, or the years of favoritism. Just a gentle nudge to keep the peace. I stared at the message for a moment, felt that old tug of guilt in my chest, then shut it down. No response. Brianna didn't reach out at all. Maybe she assumed Mom and Dad had it covered, or maybe she was too busy scrolling on her phone to notice the cracks forming beneath her feet. Either way, her silence was telling. She had always benefited from the safety net I provided, but she had never acknowledged it. Not once. By the weekend, another voicemail arrived. This time, Mom's voice sounded sharper, her defensiveness bleeding through. Amber, the power company called. We need that payment. Please, don't let this go too far. That party, it was just a joke. You know, there it was again. That desperate attempt to downplay the cruelty, to convince herself it hadn't mattered. Dad followed later that night with another call. His tone was heavier, but still circling around the truth. Amber, what's going on? Mom's upset. Let's fix this. Just fix the bill thing. No mention of the hurt. No acknowledgement of betrayal. Just bills. Just money. And for the first time in my life, I felt relief in ignoring them. Their panic was growing, their voices cracking, their carefully built image of control beginning to collapse. Meanwhile, I spent the weekend walking the beach alone, breathing in the salt air, realizing how light I felt without carrying their burdens. They thought it was unlike me. And they were right. But that was exactly the point. By the second week, I knew silence alone wasn't enough. If my parents and Brianna thought I was bluffing, they'd just wait me out, convinced I'd eventually cave like always. So I decided to put something bigger on the table, something they couldn't ignore. On a Tuesday morning, sitting at my office desk with a fresh cup of coffee, I typed a single text and sent it to the family group chat. I'm considering pulling my cosign from Brianna's $10,000 loan. Change how you treat me, or it's gone. Short, sharp, no room for misunderstanding. The hours ticked by in silence. Not a single reply. I knew what that silence meant. They thought I wouldn't dare. They thought I was still the reliable one, bluffing to get attention, too loyal to actually follow through. That night, I poured myself a glass of wine and let them sit in their denial. By the end of the week, Mom cracked first. Her voicemail was tense, laced with a mix of guilt and defiance. Amber, what's this about the loan? We're counting on it for Brianna. You're strong, honey. You don't need to do this over a silly party joke. There it was again, the same tired excuse, you're strong. As if strength was a reason to be dismissed, ignored, or used. Dad followed with his usual attempt at peacemaking, texting, Kid, let's not blow this out of proportion. Talk to us, we'll sort it out. But he still avoided the truth, never mentioning the years of favoritism, never apologizing. Just smoothing over the surface like a Band-Aid slapped onto a wound that had been bleeding for decades. Finally, Brianna sent her own message. Her words were shaky, the mask of confidence gone. Sis, I need that loan. I didn't know Mom took your savings for my car. I swear. Don't pull it, please. For once, she admitted something. But even then, it wasn't an apology, it was a plea. She wasn't offering to make it right, just begging me not to take away the safety net she had grown used to. I waited, gave them all a chance to prove they could be different. A chance to see me not as their fallback, but as their equal. But they didn't. Not one of them owned up. Not one of them said the word sorry. And so, in the third week, I picked up the phone, called the bank, and in less than 10 minutes removed my name from Brianna's loan. That was the moment everything collapsed. The morning after I pulled my name from Brianna's loan. The first call came from Dad. His voice was lower than I'd ever heard it, stripped of his usual cheer. Amber, can you come home and talk? I know I screwed up. I should have stepped in, kept things fair. Please, don't do this to Brianna. It was the closest he'd ever come to admitting his failure as a father. But even then, his plea wasn't really about me. It was about saving her. I let him speak, listened to every fumbling word. And when he finally paused, I answered coolly, Dad, I'm just treating you the way you've always treated me. Then I hung up before he could respond. An hour later, Mom called. Her voice cracked between guilt and defensiveness. The same old cycle. Amber, why are you doing this? You're stronger than Brianna. She needs this more than you. That party, it was a mistake. Okay. She couldn't bring herself to say sorry. She couldn't bring herself to admit the years of favoritism weren't just a slip-up. To her, it was all still a misunderstanding. I cut her off mid-sentence. A mistake is forgetting a birthday, Mom. What you did was a choice. All of it. I ended the call. My hands didn't shake. That night, Brianna called. Her voice was desperate, all the confidence stripped away. Amber, the bank called. The loan's gone. My salon's done. I didn't mean for any of this to happen. I didn't know about your money until you said it. Please, I need you. For a brief moment, I heard real fear in her words, the fear of losing everything she had taken for granted. But I wasn't moved. I leaned back in my chair, staring at the ceiling of my apartment, the ocean breeze drifting in through the window. Brianna, I said coldly, you'll figure it out the way I had to. That's what happens when you're not the favorite. Then I hung up, cutting off her sob mid-dash. The silence that followed was different now. It wasn't avoidance. It was collapse. Brianna's dream was dead before it even started. Her lease in jeopardy, her life unraveling. My parents were drowning without the quiet cushion I'd always provided, the bills stacking up, the cracks widening. For years, I had been their safety net. But now they were falling. And I wasn't there to catch them. The day after I hung up on Brianna, I sat in my apartment as the morning light filtered through the blinds. My phone buzzed nonstop, calls, texts, voicemails, but I didn't open a single one. Instead, I scrolled through my contacts, found each of their names, Mom, Dad, Brianna, and blocked them. One by one. My finger didn't tremble. With each tap, it felt like I was shedding a weight I had carried for years. The silence that followed was profound. No more late-night voicemails begging for help. No more guilt-ridden texts asking for money. Just peace. For the first time in my life, I wasn't tethered to their chaos. A week later, a letter arrived. Dad's handwriting scrawled across the envelope. I opened it slowly, half curious, half detached. Amber, I messed up. Letting things get so unfair. Brianna's back home now. No salon, no place to rent. I tried to keep peace, but I failed you. Please come talk. His words were raw than usual, but still they centered on saving Brianna, not making amends with me. Tucked inside was a note from Mom. You're so strong, honey. We're struggling. Brianna didn't mean to take so much. The same refrain, the same hollow excuse. No real apology. Just another plea. Even Brianna found a way through, emailing me since her number was blocked. Sis, I feel awful. I didn't know about the savings. Can we fix this? I need you. Her desperation bled through every line, but her words were empty. She wasn't offering change, just begging me to step back into the role I had abandoned. I sat at my kitchen table, staring at the pile of paper. For a moment, I thought about Aunt Jessica, the one person who had seen the truth years ago. She had warned my mother, told her favoritism would cost them. Now her warning had come true. I tore the letter into pieces, deleted Brianna's email, and tossed it all into the trash. No reply. No hesitation. They had run out of chances. Back at their house, Brianna had moved into the spare bedroom, working a minimum wage job at a surf shop. My parents were stretched thin, Dad behind on his truck payments, Mom's medical bills stacking high without my monthly support. My cousin texted me once, saying the house was tense, everyone snapping at each other, the guilt and resentment festering. But I felt nothing. Just relief. Because for the first time in my life, their problems weren't mine. 2 weeks after I blocked them, I spotted Dad's truck in the parking lot of my office. Mom was in the passenger seat. Brianna slouched in the back, her eyes hollow. They had driven all the way to find me, but I didn't go down. I watched from my window as they sat there for half an hour, waiting, hoping. When they finally left, I called security and went back to work. I felt nothing but relief. That month, I accepted a new job offer in Irvine, a promotion in business administration with better pay and a fresh start. I packed up my small apartment near Huntington Beach and moved into a quiet neighborhood lined with orange trees. It felt different, lighter. Friends I hadn't seen in years reached out, inviting me to barbecues, movie nights, simple things that reminded me what real connection looked like. Slowly, they became my family, the kind that valued me for who I was, not for what I could provide. Aunt Jessica called once. Her voice was calm, steady. I told them they'd lose you, Amber. You did what was right. I thanked her, but I kept some distance. My new life didn't need ties to the old one, not even sympathetic ones. Meanwhile, back at my parents' house, the collapse continued. Brianna never got her salon. She was stuck at home, cycling through guilt and resentment, her dreams withering before they ever bloomed. Mom and Dad burned through their savings, no longer cushioned by my help. Letters came, voicemails filtered through cousins, but I never answered. The cutoff was complete, not out of hatred, not even out of anger, but out of clarity, because I finally understood something. Family isn't always the safe haven we're told it is. Sometimes the people closest to you are the ones who hurt you most through favoritism, neglect, or by expecting you to carry their burdens. My biggest lesson? Boundaries. Setting them, keeping them, and protecting my peace even if it meant walking away from the people who raised me. Self-reliance isn't about doing everything alone. It's about knowing your worth and refusing to let anyone make you feel less. And now, sitting here in Irvine, surrounded by people who see me not the strong one, not the fallback, just me, I finally feel free. So if you're listening to this and any of it sounds familiar, take it as a wake-up call. Watch for the red flags: favoritism, neglect, being taken for granted. Don't wait for a cake and banner moment to realize your value. Say no, set boundaries, protect yourself. And if this story resonated with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps more people hear stories like this and maybe, just maybe, find the courage to write their own ending.